Getting rejected is one of the most terrifying prospects most of us have faced, and it's something that can destroy self-confidence and plunge you into long periods of self-deprecation and doubt. However, some people use rejection as fuel to improve themselves, and we've seen some of the greatest glow-ups as a result of this. It's always great to see someone improve habits, get healthier, and gain confidence after being walloped by romance, like the main character of the anime Masamune's Revenge, which is a thrilling tale about a young man named Masamune who suffered rejection and used it to get as healthy as possible and turn a new leaf. It's an inspirational tale for us all to pick ourselves back up after emotionally damaging events like rejection and use it to bounce back. Well, at least it should be. Instead, Masamune goes through the painstaking process of getting healthy, all for the sake of extremely petty revenge. This man glowed up physically without growing mentally. And yes, he's just as insufferable as you can imagine, along with the female lead of this show, Aki, which I guess makes them the perfect pairing. Masamune's Revenge gets its name from the main character of the show, Masamune, who's a high schooler that was ruined by rejection when he was just a wee lad, to the point where his entire life's purpose is to get revenge on the one who rejected him. He was 5. How are you still hung up on a rejection from kindergarten? But that's besides the point. Masamune used to be quite the tubby fellow when he was just a wee lad and was bullied for it, since kids kinda suck and do that. Everyone used to constantly make fun of his build because of this, except for one girl named Aki, who was a girl from a distinguished family much like Masamune was. Aki stood up for Masamune when he was getting bullied, and naturally, Masamune began growing feelings, hanging out with her more and more until he got the courage to finally ask her out. Unfortunately, he was hit with the fat "hell no," and thus his mental state was shattered until his current age. Talk about living rent-free. Masamune reacted to this rejection in a very logical manner by disappearing and changing his identity. He then spent the next decade working out in bodybuilding, becoming a very disciplined young man who constantly counted calories, worked out, and studied, all for the wrong reasons. You see, Masamune wasn't very thrilled to be rejected. No, he needed to get his lick back. And what better way is there to do that than focus the next 10 years of your life to get revenge on a girl that rejected you when you were both 5 years old? This man has a literal child live rent-free in his head for over a decade. He went through all of that work for such a petty reason like a bozo. But what about Aki? She was kind to him when he was a kid, right? Surely she's still the angel that Masamune's going for. Wait, I guess that would just make his revenge plot even worse. But we don't have to worry about that since she has grown up to be a femcel. Yes, the one who looked out for poor old Masamune when he was bullied has turned into an ice-cold man-hater, to the point where she's known as the cruel princess since she rejects everyone who asks her out and berates them in public by giving them humiliating nicknames. She's surrounded by a team of femcels that enable this behavior since they glorify her due to her ice-cold nature and also her financial status. She's also the complete opposite of Masamune when it comes to dieting, spending her lunches by herself and eating extremely calorie-dense food since she has the appetite of Squidward in the Krabby Patty Vault and the metabolism of an ultramarathoner. She's a complete mess, much like how Masamune is, and with views that basically make it impossible for other men to approach her. How is Masamune supposed to get his revenge? After all, Masamune can't really properly ask her out, despite the fact that he's now Mr. Bitches and has every girl not named Aki falling for him in the academy. This is due to the fact that even though he glowed up physically, he has not really matured mentally and is still scarred by how he was treated in the past. He has no experience with romance in general and still has no clue how to ask girls out on dates and for their numbers, even though a lot of them would be more than happy to indulge him. He's terrified of being bullied again and his past being exposed, so he's completely changed himself in every way, and although it's kinda excessive, I do like that he didn't completely get over his past problems when it came to confidence. Even though Masamune himself is approached by other girls, his determination to get revenge on Aki is so strong that he only focuses on that and rejects all others who try to make advances on him. Aki, on the other hand, has to deal with some buff bozo who's trying to break through her man-hating defenses while she has another boy on her mind all the time. A boy that she remembers from a long, long time ago. Wanna guess who it is? Yes, these two, who received adoration from the other gender constantly, are stuck up on their crushes from kindergarten. How traumatic was Miss Frizzle's class? Their dynamic turns into even more of a fuckfest after we find out that Aki is still hung up on Masamune from when they were still kids, believing that he had stood her up and abandoned her, which led to her turning into a femcel. Their entirely different outlooks on the past lead them to be even more confusing towards each other, since they actually do like each other but don't even know it, since Aki has no idea but that the Masamune now is the same Masamune from back then. So how on earth is this situation supposed to be remedied when these two morons are at the helm? That's where the side characters come in, specifically Yoshino, who's been Aki's maid since birth due to their family statuses, kinda like Hayasaka and Kaguya from Love is War. Yoshino is the one who has to tend to all of Aki's bullshit and is constantly insulted and belittled by the ice-cold princess while feeding her all the time, which is a pretty terrible situation to be in. She comes to find out about Masamune's true identity based off of an old photograph, and instead of exposing his revenge plan to her boss, she works with Masamune to get revenge on Aki so that she can finally be humbled and stop acting like such an annoying calorie-craving bitch. much. Normally, I feel bad for someone in Aki's situation, but she sucks so much that I'm rooting for Yoshino's master plan to work. Yoshino's really got her work cut out for her, considering Masamune's pickup game is copy and pasted from shoujo manga. That's like going into a fight and screaming Super Saiyan and hoping to power up, or watching this video without liking it. Not really. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please make sure to like and subscribe. Masamune gets straightened out on how to interact with girls and get them to fall for you, specifically Aki, through Yoshino's teachings, which often put him in an awkward situation that he has to force himself through. Thanks to Yoshino, Masamune gets more and more opportunities to interact with Aki and get her to fall for him. Despite this help, Aki remains a hard nut to crack, and the both of them often end up making each other angry with their insults or cold behavior, which Yoshino watches from a distance. Seriously, Aki and Masamune are absolutely insufferable at times. Masamune pulls dumb stuff off, like ignoring Aki when she tries to return his umbrella to him. On the other hand, we got moments like Aki asking Masamune for a kiss, just to uppercut him even though he was fulfilling her request. Through the side characters, both Aki and Masamune mature emotionally and mentally, although it isn't too much since these two are still very much morons, and they get closer to the point where their conversations aren't entirely roast sessions. In the first season, we meet a character named Neko, who's an ill student who falls for Masamune. Through Neko, Masamune learns about how much it hurts to reject someone that you don't have negative feelings towards, and how he needs to not be stuck in the same path as her and secure Aki's heart by becoming a better person. Aki sees this and views Masamune a little more favorably as well, along with realizing how strong his resolve to cover is. There's plenty of obstacles that the two run into later on, like Aki being courted by someone who's pretending to be Masamune from the past so that they can secure a bag. Masamune also has to deal with Aki's femcel worshippers trying to convince him that he isn't going to ruin Aki's life, even though that's exactly what he plans to do. Masamune's quest for revenge continues in season 2 of Masamune's Revenge, which is coming out 6 years after the anime ended, which is an interesting choice. During these 6 years, the character designs got worse, along with the animation and feel in general, which I don't really get since director Mirai Minato and character designer and chief animation director Yuki Sawairi remained intact. These two have done extensive work on Fate Kaliad Liner, Prisma Ilia, and My Next Life as a Villainess, but season 2 of Masamune's Revenge is a little rough to say the least. At times, it feels like the main characters have made zero progress in their relationships, while at other times they're having a heart-to-heart about what plagues them. It's weird, but entertaining to see these two burning trains crash into each other. However, many have said that the contents in season 2 should hit a lot harder, which makes me optimistic for the rest of the season. Have y'all checked out Masamune's Revenge? Were you guys frustrated with the leads as well? Let me know down below. If you have any other manga or anime recommendations for me, leave them down below as well and I'll try to check them out. Have a wonderful day.